PRID Samukujeto, the district governor, past district governors, the assistant governor, past assistant governors. My name is Samuel Uswa. It's a pleasure to speak to you on the subject of peace and how it impacts on our dreams. In the 2012 to 2013 Rotary year, the RI President has charged Rotarians and Rotaractors to achieve peace through service. There couldn't be a timely message for this, considering all of the unrests and conflicts that currently greet our world. And for those of us in Ghana and Africa in particular, this is extremely pressing. To emphasize the relevance of peace, I will share a few statistics from a research that was conducted by Oxfam. And it will give us a deeper sense of why peace is extremely necessary. It says that between the year 1990 and 2005, the monetary cost of Africa's conflicts was $300 billion. Now that's 15% of the GDP of the region. And that's the same amount that was received in foreign aid during the period. When I think about such huge figures that could have contributed to development, it gives me a reason to think that peace must be extremely necessary. I'll touch on a few others. 50%, there's been a 50% increase in child mortality as a result of conflicts within that same period. And we have 20% more illiterate adults who could have gone on to be productive in their respective countries and economies. It is these things that cause me to reflect deeply on the importance of peace. That said, thinking of peace in the very broad sense of the word that relates to conflicts and unrest takes away from what personal responsibility exists for individuals to work towards peace. In my presentation, I want to focus more on what responsibility we individually have towards the peace process and how we can work towards it, seeing that we do not have very much of a might to work towards the bigger goal of peace at a communal level. So the very first thing is, for me, I want to encourage every Rotaractor to, in the year under review, consider a faith test of the things we think, say, or do. We've had 4 tests over the years, but considering the theme for the year, I want us to consider a faith test, which would be, will it build peace? Because if that's going to be a theme for us this year, then we need to focus more closely on that. And I think a way to remind us is to think about the goal of peace as a faith test of the things we think, say, or do. There are very little actions that we can either do or not do to promote peace. And to talk about things we should not be doing, an example will be, can we stop jumping the queue? Because very often, these are things that we usually overlook and have a tendency to create conflicts in very small ways. Can we stop receiving and paying bribes? These are little things that we do that we often write off. And the things that we should be doing are things that perhaps we have been doing other ways through our projects, but have not given a deep thought about as to how they contribute to peace. Can we mobilize each other better? Can we get more of our friends involved in community service? Can we organize cleanups? Can we donate blood? And it's interesting that Rotaractor also mentioned blood donations, because my brother is a doctor, and I've seen instances where hours before he goes into the theater to perform surgeries, he's having to donate his own blood because there's a shortage of blood. It's these things that give me reason to believe that there's a lot more we can do on the personal level to contribute to peace. Last year, I had the great privilege under the DRR to serve as the chair for Rotaract and Interact for Peace in Africa. It's basically a project that's been set up by Rotaract and Interact clubs in our district to each year undertake a project towards peace. Last year, what we selected was Poems for Peace, and basically it was a poetry competition that said young people should write a poem about reaching within to begin the peace process. How could they start the peace process from within? And it's really interesting that the year after we are talking about peace as the RI theme. And by being chair of that project, I learned a few things. That one, regardless of people's backgrounds, language, and age, peace is a universal aspiration of all people. Because entries that came from people 12 years up to 30, which was the age limit, we had lots of people talk about peace and what it meant for their various communities. And it reinforced in my mind the need for each and every individual to strive towards peace. We received nearly 100 entries from 11 different African countries. And for us, that was a little way of causing many young people to reflect on what peace meant to them and how they could reach for it. Today, I make a pledge to stand for peace, not just in this year, but in all the years that follow through my service as a Rotaractor. I hope you will all join me in the pledge towards peace. I'll end my speech with a quote that I think is the most comprehensive I have seen on peace. I took it from the speech that Barack Obama delivered at the Nobel Center when he won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2009. And I quote, "Peace is not merely the absence of physical conflict. Only a just peace based on the inherent rights and dignity of every individual can truly be lasting. True peace is not just freedom from fear, but freedom from want. The belief that peace is desirable is rarely enough to achieve it. Peace requires responsibility. Peace entails sacrifice." Thank you very much. Long live Rotaract, long live Ghana, long live Rotaract.